Right then, this is individual differences in stress, and in this video we're going to look at the idea of hardiness and what that means and how it links to stress. This is our fourth personality factor in stress, type A, B, C, and then hardiness. Right, so the theory in a sentence that we're looking at in this video is, if you are psychologically hardy, this will protect you against the negative effects of stress. And that's the theory you need to keep in your head as we're going through, as you're outlining and evaluating this topic. So what is hardiness? It's basically three personality factors which protect you against the effects of stress, basically, which make you thrive when things are stressful and make you not be affected negatively by it. And they are commitment, challenge, and control. And they make up hardiness. So let's look at each of those. Commitment. Someone who is hardy is really heavily committed to everything they're doing. They will often be doing a lot. They'll throw themselves fully into whatever they're doing. Even if they know it's going to be stressful or difficult, they still think it's worth doing. So they're really deeply committed to everything. Challenge. When something's changing in a negative way, like maybe there's a reorganisation at work or something like that, and they might lose their job or be moved into a different department, they wouldn't see that as like a threat to their well-being, as many of us would. They would see it as like a challenge or an opportunity to try something new or something like that. So they'd be okay with the fact that life is unpredictable. They'd find that exciting, whereas many of us would find that stressful, but it's like a good thing for them that life is a bit unpredictable. Control. Hardy people have a really strong belief that they're in control of events. So if you think back to locus of control that we studied in social influence, they might have like a really strong internal locus of control. They are in control of events. They believe they are in control of events. And they'll often try to influence things, so try to have control over different things rather than just letting things pass them by. And again, even if that might be stressful or difficult, they'll still get involved in order to have control over it. So control, commitment, and challenge are our three C's in hardiness. Let's look at research support that we've got. This was the key study in the first place. This was Kobasa, and this was looking at executives from a big company in the US, and she gave them a version of the SRRS where what they had to do was identify any life changes they'd had in the last few years, and then also say any illnesses that they'd had. So she then sorted them into two groups: high stress, low illness, one group, high stress, high illness. And then she wanted to compare the two groups and see what's the difference between these two groups in terms of personality factors. Why is there something in their personalities that means that one group has is what we'd expect is this second group, isn't it? High stress, high illness, based on all we know already. But there's this other group, this high stress, low illness group. How are they not getting ill? What's protecting them? And so she found, as a result of this, that they actually had these three C's. Those people in that group, they were showing the commitment, challenge, and the control. And so this supported the idea of hardiness having this protective effect against stress. So that's really the key study in this area. But then what we've got is like basically a replication of it. It's not exactly the same, but it's a really similar method by somebody else. So Maddie et al. 1987 were looking at another US company. It was Bell, I think, where they were over a while, they were reducing the workforce. There was a big reorganisation. Lots of them lost their jobs. For those of them that remained, it was really stressful. So Maddie et al. Were looking at the company, and this, by the way, is a study that's actually on your online textbook rather than in your booklet, but do go and have a read because it explains it really nicely. Again, she was looking at the employees that were not suffering with really bad health during this period, the ones who are remaining. And again, it was the hardiness attributes, the 3 C's, the control, the challenge, the commitment, that she found in that group that were thriving as a result of, or at the same time as all this stress was going on. And so the fact that we've got 2 studies there, not just one study, another study has basically replicated the method, and this second study has found the same thing. So it's suggesting that this is reliable research. We're getting a consistent finding here. We can be fairly confident that hardiness is reducing the negative effects of stress. And then in your booklet for this, you've got a couple more studies, again outlined, that support this idea of hardiness and stress. So hopefully you're starting to see as we go through this, that this concept is fairly well established in research, unlike some of the other ones that we've looked at where we've got contradictory findings that are quite major. We've got a lot of studies here that support this idea. So Westman looked at Israeli Defence Force officers and again found that those who had lots of hardy characteristics had less perceived stress. Sarafino, again, linking hardiness training, which is where you kind of train people to have more of these characteristics, the commitment and the control and so on. Those who'd had hardiness training had lower blood pressure, suggesting lower stress levels. So both of those, again, support this idea that being psychologically hardy protects you from the negative effects of stress. Okay, it's a really useful thing, a really useful concept. This obviously is a strength that you could give if you're evaluating. So many people, hardiness training is now becoming quite common in various areas, including the US military, and may be helpful for others as well, where you've got people in a really stressful environment. So if you know about hardiness, then you're able to train people to be more hardy. That's really good, isn't it? You can have a positive effect on people's health by protecting them from negative effects of stress. And then just as a last little point, for those of you who are good at linking back to the theory from evaluating research, which is that thing that we need to keep practicing, a lot of the research in this area is correlational. So again, we can't say cause and effect. We can't say that hardiness is definitely what's protecting them. There's just a link between them. And then classification of personality type, again, dependent on self-report questionnaires, might be influenced by social desirability bias, affecting their validity, and therefore it might not be as the research may lack validity. So you've got both of those issues that you could potentially link back and talk about as well. Okay, that's it.